Hi everyone. Today we're having a closer look at the impact that drugs have on various entities, and today we're particularly looking at the impact on families. And I have with me Mr. Terry Bottrell. You know him as Mr. Bottrell. You obviously would have seen Mr. Bottrell around. But Terry, thanks for coming in and doing this for us.
Glad to.
Yeah, we have a list of questions here that we're going to refer to, and you're going to be able to see them up on the screen as well. But yeah, we're going to have a look at how drugs particularly have impacted your family and some of the things around that. So let's jump in. Firstly, tell us a little bit about the background, about your background, your family, and the makeup and things like that.
So I'm speaking as a father, a parent of a son who's been on a long journey and struggled with drug addiction for probably 12 years. And, that sort of acute phase has subsided, but it's something that our son and myself and the whole family will struggle with really for the rest of our lives, because drugs, once they get a hold of a person, they don't let go. It's a bit like the genie in the bottle. When you open it up, it's hard to get it back in. So I'm speaking as a parent of a son who's been through that battle and come out the other side probably for 6 years or so. And it's good to relate to what you guys are doing because he went through this school. Our son spent probably half his schooling up to year 11 here at North Pine and had friends at North Pine who ended up, some of them, on a journey with drugs that ended up worse than our son has. So we've sort of got that connection to the school. And his sisters, an older and younger sister, also went through the school. So yeah, it gives quite a unique perspective in relation to North Pine in particular on what it means for a family and the battle that they face when one of their children ends up struggling with drug addiction. My background, I started teaching at North Pine a long time ago now. That doesn't seem that long, 23 years ago in 1998, and taught full-time here for over half that time. And at the moment, I'm a casual teacher at the school, fill a few gaps and just help out with a few things around the school.
All right, fantastic. So obviously you have, and I like that you're willing to come and talk to us, Terry, because it's real. You're part of this school community, and you have been for quite a while. And I guess we can easily relate to that. So let's jump into some of our other questions. How has your life been impacted by drugs? So how have you personally been changed and influenced and impacted by your son's actions and those things?
So for me personally, as a parent, as you look back, it's not as bad as probably was when you're in the grips of your son struggling with addiction. So I look back now through sort of rose-tinted glasses in a way, and it's not as bad because we've come out the other side. But at the time, it pushed myself, my wife, my son's sisters, wider family, because everyone is impacted, friends, to the edge. And you struggle to go to work. You're dealing with a whole bunch of issues, legal, criminal, because our son, through his addiction, spent a lot of time in jail, and you end up rocking up to work having had no sleep the night before because you're looking for your son or sort of dealing with the consequences of some of his actions. So for me, it's at the time, it was really, really tough for the whole family and for me as well as a father. But as you look back now, it doesn't seem quite so bad because our son is free, but free of the grip. He still, like everyone, struggles with the impact. I guess my biggest reflection is that I think I know I'm saying it myself, but it's taught me to be kinder and more tolerant, because it's easy just to think, drug addicts, why do they make silly decisions like that? But as I look back now, I understand some of the drivers, and rather than blaming people, it's, I hope no one's as kind or as tolerant as they should be, but I think it has made me a little bit more empathetic to people and families on that journey. And that's the biggest thing. I've learned a lot from it. And, we all make mistakes as parents and individuals. So the journey of my son, on me has, I think, helped me make me a little bit better person now that we're able to look back on sort of the critical crisis times with a bit of distance. And I think it's brought me closer to God too. I thank God because I believe he worked many miracles to keep our son alive and then to also get him free from addiction. So I think it's probably strengthened our faith and, my family members' faith because of that.
All right. I love how you've actually said that you've come out the other end a better person for it, or you're more tolerant. It's impacted you in that way. So I really appreciate that, and I guess not everyone may have that experience. It could actually send people in a completely spiraling out of control way as well. But
Yeah.
I want to just quickly, before we go to the next question, I guess just ask another one just on that, taking you back to when it was crisis, when it was in the middle of you're talking about it was legal, and there was all sorts of looking for your son at night or whatever it might have been, up all night, those sort of, like, how bad was it, like, for you and your immediate family? Like, was it, like, how much of that really did impact?
Yeah, it's real, it just affects you in so many ways financially, cars, a couple of cars have been destroyed, fines, paying money to, drug dealers.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into too many details,
Sure.
but yeah, visiting your son in prison and taking their child to them, your granddaughter to visit them in prison. It's very real, and at the time you just do it because this is a battle that you don't want to lose, for not just for your son but for his daughter, for the wider family, for his sisters. So you just go into that battle, and when you're busy, I guess you don't realise the stress it's putting on you. But at the end of it, and you look back, you think, wow, that was 12, 13 years of, significant stress. And it's not just us, all families go through it. We know lots of people now and try to support some people now, who are going through that journey. And that's one of the good things of it. We've come out of it and we're able to direct some friends of ours, a few people in many situations, and empathise with them, because you know the battle that they're facing too.
Yeah.
And it's not the end of the world, You try not to get caught up in it. You look to the future with confidence because you're a Christian, and you try and always believe that you will come out the other side. But often when you're caught up in it, you fear for the worst.
Yeah.
And when you're visiting your son in hospital after car accidents and motorbike accidents and all sorts of things, and some terrible things go on in prison that make you fear not just for your son but what he might do to other people.
Yep.
In some of these situations, it's a difficult time. Yeah. Glad that part of it's over.
Yeah, for sure. All right, next question. The main changes that you have that you noticed in your family when you were going through that sort of crisis, when you were in that intense time, I guess. How what changed in the dynamics and the likes?
So, because our son has always been kind to us, and I think we're lucky that he's always had that connection to his family. I'm sure other people have dealt with violence and all sorts of things like that, and we avoided most of that, and we haven't had those sort of issues. But in terms of what he was exhibiting, I guess the main thing was he didn't want to be with us or his daughter because he felt ashamed of how he was living. So you see your child's shame, that they know this is not the way they should live their life, but they're dealing with problems, they're dealing with issues. So withdrawal from his family, that was the biggest thing. And, he'd sort of rock up and need a hand with something, and we always had the door open. And, we'd always try to be there, but he would separate himself from us. And he would become erratic, His behaviour toward work would be, no, I'm not going to work, or my car's out of petrol, can you give us some money to fill it up? And just erratic sort of behaviour because of the influence of the drugs. And you're not dealing with a rational person. There are psychosis and paranoia and all sorts of mental health issues, anxiety and depression that, come through as they're the ones fighting the biggest battle, really. So we noticed, those changes in him. His health, he was a healthy young man, but sometimes he would, be almost dead, literally almost dead. He'd go from a big, athletic, healthy man to, marks all over his face, lost 30, 40 kilos, and, his health would go. So you notice that as well. So, yeah, there's some of the changes that we can see there.
Yeah, which are pretty dramatic. Next question. Obviously, you've described some of the physical things that have happened in the family dynamics. Emotionally, you're his dad. How did that? I mean, it's probably sort of nearly an obvious question, but how did that impact you? In as a father of someone like that, on an emotional level, nearly.
It's heartbreaking. It really is, because your children, you bring them up as best you can, and you want them to be a force for good. And when you see your children doing things, your son doing things that are harming other people, harming himself, it's heartbreaking. It really is sad. And we always said to our son, one day you'll be able to use this to help other people. And now that we've come out the other side, the good that he can do and has done, in working in rehab situations and being a mentor for so many people, and still is for so many people, people in jail, and we've been able to now be a little bit involved in that too. That just makes you realise that God is good, because you get so low and you're very, very sad, and a bit fragile at times too, because you're just heartbroken to see the damage that your son is doing to himself. But then when you come through and see the good that can come out of it, that also, very quickly picks you up out of that. Helps life turn the corner and rebuild.
I can only imagine that real heartfelt pain that you must have gone through. But I do like, obviously for you personally, just it glows that all along there's been a hope and a positivity, which I guess that's your experience. Maybe not everyone's experience, but
no, we're lucky. We're blessed, and we realise that, because our son was just saying the other day, I've been along to 13 funerals in the last 3-4 years, and those funerals were directly the result of suicide, drug overdose, or someone's killed them.
Something related.
Yeah, and they're people that he's close to. Some of them have been through this school, who've lost their life as a direct result of drugs and addiction and that lifestyle. So we count ourselves as lucky. But he's seen the downside of that, which is very sobering, and makes us again be very thankful that we are so lucky.
Sort of leads into the next question, I guess, Terry. Like we talked a bit about that positivity, but how did you, or how do you maintain that really healthy, supportive relationship? You mentioned already that he withdrew at times, and there was sort of some, I guess, tension or some separation. But how did obviously you can't control what he what he did, but how did you go about trying to maintain a healthy relationship so that you could stay connected to your son?
Just largely by saying our door is never shut. We never ever said you're not welcome in our home. So he would choose to stay away when he was under the influence of drugs, or when he was doing things that he couldn't do. And so from our end, just always being there, I guess, no matter what the situation, and there were some bad situations, by trying to give that unconditional love.
Yeah.
And, you know, I slipped up at times. I admit, you know, I got angry sometimes. And, you know, I said things I shouldn't have because I just couldn't understand why things were happening. And that anger was just something that was, you know, harmful, and, you know, I shouldn't have. But, you know, on the positive side, we've tried to generally always say, if we can do something, you know, to help you out, we're here to do it. And, you know, writing letters, you know, phoning up, keeping that connection, and always saying, when you're ready to, you know, make some changes, we're here to help. But yeah, we didn't do it perfectly, you know. I admit at times I did get angry because I was just frustrated, because I didn't understand the battle that he was going through. And that's the important thing, that we've got to be empathetic. And it's, you know, the old proverb, never judge a man till you've walked a mile in his shoes. And what you see on the outside often doesn't match, you know, what the person's going through. Yeah, there's always reasons, you know, for what's happening. So we tried not to judge, you know, didn't do that perfectly, but generally tried to give that support unconditionally, as long as you're not under the influence of drugs. You know? Wait till you can talk rationally, and that it didn't always work, but, you know, most of the time he respected that.
Yeah. Easy to say, difficult to do. Like I imagine, you know, that unconditional door is open, particularly when it's hurting your family, and you already spoke about that impact. So, easy to say, difficult to do. But obviously, like you said, you had a shot at it, and may not have always got it exactly right. But clearly, you know, it would appear, and I guess this leads into my next question. It appears that you had some success in doing that. So we talked about already that, or you spoke of that, you know, things have turned around, and you sort of come out the other end. So with the rehabilitation, with that, you know, coming out of drugs and that scene, what sort of role did you have? If I'm asking the right question here.
Yeah, no, that's right. So I at the end of 2013 said to Ash, I'm going to stop teaching for a bit, and I'll drive you to work. You know, he'd lost his licence and was battling with addiction. So for 6 months, I sort of worked with him, and he was living with us most of the time. Then he'd disappear for a bit. But I'd take him to work. I'd sit in the local shopping centre, bring him home from work, and tried to be there for him when he got out of prison at the end of 2013. And for, you know, probably 5 or 6 months, I fought that battle with him. And he's trying, but he just didn't understand what the drivers were of his addiction. And it all sort of blew up, and he got back into problems with drugs and some of the associated issues with that. And he became psychotic, and he made a phone call to us, and we went over to the house he was staying in. He was broken, you know, just didn't want to live, and very low. And we said, you know, what about trying to detox? So a rehab won't accept a person until the drugs are out of their system. So it was at a point where Ash had had enough, and he said, yeah, I'll give it a go. So I took him into a detox each day and get the drugs out of his system. You know, there's processes they go through. And on this Friday night, a friend, this is a long story, sorry it's so long, but Friday night a friend rang up and said, do you want to go for a walk up Mount Barney with a few people? And I was, you know, we're full on with this detox. And then something just said, go, you know, guy I know is a great bloke. And went for this walk. You know, a few blokes, we climbed up Mount Barney. And in my car on the way down, there was a man, and we got talking about our children, and we explained, you know, some of the challenges we had, and, you know, I explained what had happened to Ash. And he said, I work for a rehab. And he gave me the phone number. I got back from the walk. I rang the rehab that day, and they said, sure, bring your son up to Harvey Bay. So, you know, to me, the timing was just right. Out of the blue, a phone call, come for a walk. Out of the blue, there's a guy who works for the rehab. And they said, and the next day, took my son to Harvey Bay and dropped him off that was June 2014, and 6 years later, Ash has been through their program and then worked at that rehab as a supervisor, as a coordinator, as the director. So he was running the rehab for quite a long time. And over those years, just influenced so many people. And he could relate to them because he'd been through the program and then was able to give back to the people in that system. So, that's how Ash got into the rehab and the journey since, in the last 6 years. So that's a short version of a longer story.
And I guess it demonstrates too the importance of positive people around who are helping. If anything's going to change, then quite often it would appear for many people they need a bit of help. They need help with their family or someone close, all those sort of things. So, all right, very cool. It's a cool.
They've
story.
got to be willing to, make that step and be aware of the implications of making that step. And when people are willing, with the right sort of support, amazing changes can happen.
All right, a couple of more questions for you before we wrap up. Short and long-term impacts of your family members' drug use on the rest of your family. So sort of stuff that sort of carries over or has carried over, into the family life.
Yeah, I think most of them are positive, really, because of the journey that Ash has followed and the approach he's taken to life. We've just made so many more friends, a wide circle of people connected to the rehab and people who've been through it. The rehab's run by another Christian group and beautiful people, just love the people up there. We've made some strong connections with those people. So friendships, we've gone on service trips with those people, and our son has gone on many service trips with us too, and brought in people who've been through the program into some of those trips. So a chance to be involved in the good things that my son's doing. That's, for me and for the rest of the family, has been just an absolute blessing. I think other long-term impacts, all of us are closer together. And like I was saying earlier, it's helped us to be more empathetic and treat people a little bit more kindly because of the battles that they're facing. And sometimes, like all people, even Christians can be a little bit judgmental. So I think it's made us all a bit kinder. In terms of short-term things, just post taking Ash there, 2014, just absolute joy. His sisters, mother, wider family, just that joy. And that joy still stays with us. And thankfulness to God, who I think played a big part in the whole process, and good people who, are willing day by day, 'cause it's a tough thing to work in a rehab. Just admiration for the people who do those sort of things. There's so many people doing good things in our community, and not all of them are Christians. Within a Christian school do amazing things, but there's a lot of wonderful people in the wider Christian community, the wider community. We live in a good society. We're blessed to be here in Australia. An appreciation for that support and the great country we live in, I guess, some of those longer term effects as well.
Cool. All right, last question. You've had this experience. It's been over a long period of time. Years and years. But from your experience, what sort of advice would you give, like young people, and not just the don't take drugs necessarily, but like when people, whether they might experience it themselves, or it might be a friend or a family or someone. What advice would you give? Rounded advice would you give to young people when it comes to this sort of thing, to the drugs and the impact that it might have on the community?
Yeah, no, it's a good question, and I'm sure there's lots of people who tell young people what to do, and I'm not here to tell you what to do, but just more share my experience. And from my experience, I think my biggest problem was pride. I was too proud as a parent, perhaps, to get a little bit of help sooner. Perhaps I should have for my son and for our family too. We didn't sort of go, maybe we should have got a bit more support as we were going through this. But pride, don't be too proud to ask someone for a bit of help. The right people, the right situation. We all need it. All of us are battling issues, and when you're young, those issues down the track can have such a huge impact. So when you're young, don't be too proud or ashamed, no matter what's happened or no matter what the issue, to get some help from the right people. And try to look that, things get really tough, but look long term, with the right support, right relationships, God can bring good from bad. But specifically in terms of addiction, try to look long term. Addiction is not a solution. Substance abuse or short-term fixes are not solutions, because when you're caught up in a crisis, you don't see the longer term, and some of those consequences that we can look back in reflection on are just profound. For example, for our son, a criminal record, that impact for you for the rest of your life can make it hard to get work, to get insurance, to get blue cards. Drugs are illicit drugs, illegal behaviour so often ends up with criminal activity. And the consequences of that, a criminal record. And, I'd like to fight back against some of these consequences. I don't think they're fair. They stay with you for life. The physical, emotional consequences, a lowered immune system, it can mean the rest of your life you're battling all sorts of infections. Your brain, particularly when you're younger, it's so amazing how we are wired, our mental capacity, but it's vulnerable when it's developing, particularly when you're younger, to alcohol and drugs. And you've only got one brain, and as a teacher taught biology and science, you just marvel at the resilience of our brain and how it bounces back. But ice in particular, the damage it does to the dopamine receptors and the dopamine processes in your brain. People who are battling addiction will deal with those consequences for the rest of their life. Their natural ability to enjoy life and appreciate the good things of life has been damaged, and for some people irreparably. So, if you can, when you're looking at, what am I going to do to deal with those situations, look for help and support. Don't look for quick fixes, particularly drugs and other forms of addiction, because the long-term impacts, the short-term and long-term impacts are just devastating, even when a person gets off drugs. But, we've seen miracles. A guy Ash has worked with was addicted to ice largely for 30 years. He died a number of times and was resuscitated by his father once after the ambos had given up and said, no, he's not going to recover. Yeah. And that man now, 50, works in a rehab on the Gold Coast. And, we worked with him. We seen him when he first come in. And we said, Ash, he's got no hope, eh? Ash said, with God, there's always hope. And there is, and he's turned his life around, that man, after terrible abuse of his body. But you also see so many people who don't make it and are battling the consequences of those mistakes, and their families too are caught up in them as carers and support people for a long time. So get the help, deal with the issues. There's no shame in anything, For someone who is addicted, shame is the biggest issue to seeking help. So, Ash will probably talk about it more, but, God takes away your shame. And we don't deserve the shame, Other people who do bad things, let them carry the shame, not the person who's caught up and dealing with the hurt that then leads to, that harmful behaviour.
All right. Hey, thank you. Fantastic. Very insightful. And again, I just want to, just highlight how, it would appear, very positive and a faith and hope in God has really pulled something pretty dark right out into the light, and
Absolutely.
Something that was very tragic and harmful as, God and a positive way, positive way of thinking about this has there's a lot of good that's come of that as well. So really thank you for sharing, and thank you for sharing with everyone as well. And
it's a great thing that the teachers have been doing year by year, hopefully it makes it a bit more real and a bit more interesting, and relatable for the precious year eights that are dealing often, many of them, with these challenges. So bless them on their journey, and the teachers caring for them.
Right. Thank you.